Okay, got back a little while ago from seeing Paranormal Activity. This is not being included in like the 31, movies that I'm doing for Halloween. So I think its own one, just like Zombieland and just like Saw 6 will get. I'll talk about some of the good. The acting feels very organic. You actually do think that the characters in it are actually, real legitimate people. So they did a very good job on that. I like the fact that there's only ambient sounds. There's no soundtrack, which you shouldn't have when it's essentially a documentary about a couple's paranormal phenomena. The use of the camera was fairly good too. There's a lot of stationary shots, and lots of the moving shots are not that frantic. So it actually worked. There was no random shooting back and forth all the time, and it actually worked fairly well. It does a pretty good job building tension, and it's got a few moments that are they're pretty good, It really does lack that big scare. It's got a lot of real small ones, and a lot of ones that are just fairly tense-filled and generally creepy moments. A lot of it is done kind of like a night style, but it's not done in green. There's an ambient light source off in a corner, and one in another corner. So it almost feel like if I were to film this more kind of like this, where you can still make out me, you can see some of the artwork behind me from the ambient light sources, but this is the way a lot of it looks. All in all, it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's terribly original, but so far it actually is a very good movie. Now I'm going to go with the parts that I didn't like anywhere near as much. This really felt like I was watching Ghost Hunters. I mean, there is a lot of nothing that happens in this movie. A lot of nothing. It takes a long time to set up things. And the ending really pulls you out of the movie. They do the semi-cheesy beginning of making it seem like this is, legitimate footage. And then they end it again, which makes it seem like it's legitimate footage. But, all in all, it's good. I'm not going to say everyone's like it's one of the greatest horror movies of the past decade. No. I mean, it is an okay movie. The acting is very good. The acting is very solid. But it suffers from the same problem you run into with other movies that have, for the most part, non-endings. Blair Witch had a non-ending, Cloverfield had a non-ending, The Strangers had a non-ending, and that's what really kind of pulled me out of it. It was just the ending is also kind of like, ugh. And it's like, that I felt like it needed more for an ending than what it really had. So all in all, pretty good. I really didn't read a lot of the hype into it because if it's overly hyped, I know it's going to be horrible. And this one, it's good. I mean, it's nothing terribly original, nothing super awesome. It was just, overall, a pretty good movie. Now, I think this movie is going to play beautifully on a DVD. There's a level of intimacy with this movie that really, I think, would work better on a smaller scale as opposed to seeing it in the theater. So, Paranormal Activity, very good movie, very solid movie. It's just, don't believe the hype, and you'll walk away fairly satisfied.